Greetings, listeners. You are listening to Monroe's podcast, and we're going to be interviewing one of those interesting people who are members of Band Davion. They also have performed albums like Reliving the Golden and Hexatastic, and they are planning to release the reunites of Musical Glory on March 24th, 2023. And let's say hello to one of them, starting with Davion McDougall, leader of Band Davion. Say hello.
Howdy.
Welcome, Davion McDougall. Now, I would like to ask you a few questions along with the rest of the people here, which we'll get to in a moment. And just to clarify, your group name is Band Davion, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Alright. So, first things first, what motivated you guys to start Band Davion? Well, particularly you, but what's the motivation?
Well, we've always been fanatics of the halcyon decades, like, 80s, 90s, and sometimes 70s in this case. And our goal is to, bring them back, because if you take a look at now, you are seeing a lot of modern-day graphics. And you basically don't want that, because your favorite decade is the same as ours, if possible. After we formed Band Davion back in 2021, which is basically December 2021, we're seeing a lot of glory days come back. Like, if you remember Sonic Saddam from 1993 to 1994, we stumbled across Team C3 apparently. And we're seeing Return to Robotropolis. That's basically the pilot episode of the revival. And this year, we stumbled across a Green Day album from 1997, turned 25 years old, called Nimrod. And the additions are unreleased demos, live at the Electric Factory. Yeah, the live one came out 1 month after Nimrod was released. But that's not really the case, and I apologize for going off topic. So, the real motivation for our band is when Dan saw some very interesting stuff that aired on Pluto TV, the series that I mentioned, Sonic Saddam, Rescue Heroes, Inspector Gadget, Heathcliff, and all the other cartoons that were associated with geek entertainment. But the inspiration for the music was taken from Aha, Motley Crue, ABBA or ABBA, James Taylor, Billy Idol, and so on.
And that's basically what motivated you to do Band Davion and the songs too, as well as the photos and stuff, correct?
Yep. Well, for the photos, most of them from the Band Davion website were just concept arts. And some of them consist of headshots, posters, and let me see here, and wallpapers too.
Yeah, I checked the Band Davion website too, and I thought these images were really nice.
Yeah, you could thank Danny for doing them all, because he's the co-founder of my band.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go on to the next question, okay?
Alright, no problem.
So, albums like Reliving the Golden, Hexatastic, and that 30-minute thingy called The Reunites of Musical Glory. What gave you all the idea to visualize these things?
That's a good question. Reliving the Golden is essentially the first part to help us prove that we're an actual music band. Before we started Reliving the Golden, we basically produced a lot of demo tracks, including Pub Feed after we saw the Wiggles do their cover of the track from the Chats. So, the fact that the Wiggles made a cover version of Pub Feed for the Re-Wiggled album was the inspiration for us to do our cover of Pub Feed for the Reliving the Golden album. And let's not forget, It's Gonna Be Great. That was from one of Danny's childhood shows that's considered to be PB&J Otter. And it's been featured in the last episode of PB&J Otter in the very last season. We decided to do an 80s version of that song and extend it to a few seconds so that way it sounds more entertaining and enjoyable for our listeners to hear. And that's pretty much it for Reliving the Golden. Now, Hexatastic, Uh, that was taken from our direct-to-video adventure, which we'll get to in a moment. We got the name Hexatastic from the word hexagon, which means 6 sides, and tastic from fantastic. And we've got the instrumentals done for the album, so now we gotta do the vocals to finalize them. And we don't have much to say for this interview about Hexatastic, so let's go over to the musical adventures of Band Davion, the reunites of musical glory. Let's see. As I mentioned earlier, there are so many inspirations we received from so many artists, cartoonists, and many others. So for the musical adventures of Band Davion, considering that my name McDougal sounds like McDonald's in a sense, we decided to take cues from the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald. But luckily we didn't steal the plots, because that would be considered plagiarism, if you know what I mean. So, we've been looking through the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald on YouTube. We've been watching most of the episodes, and we thought we could take an adventure almost like that, but with some elements of comedy and some evidence that consists of music that we do, and that gives the explanation for the musical part in the direct-to-video title.
Seems like you have very valid answers, Mr. McDougal.
Yes, and I did my very best, and I apologize if I went off topic earlier for one of my earlier statements.
No, you're fine. I just optionally like to hear different things from you sometime.
Oh, alright, that's not a problem.
And since you covered almost everything here, I would like to hear more from the rest of the band. Do you mind?
Alright. Hey, does anybody else want to take the spot?
I'll go for it.
Alright. Welcome, Stella Elise. That's your name, right?
Yes.
Alright. Now, I heard you are in a relationship with Moby Devante. Is that true?
Yes, and it's a very convenient relationship because I've been spending a lot of time with him. Me and Moby have been caressing each other. We've been watching TV. We've been doing, well, pretty much everything else that's in the fashion of romance.
Well, that's very nice to hear, Stella. Also, I viewed your page on the Band Davion website. Something along the lines that says, you have a strong area in which you cannot spray pungent smelling vapors. Now, by strong area, do you mean like,
It's a strong sphincter, actually. Because, well, for a skunk like myself, I want to be classified as a stinkless one. Because, there's no stink around me, gas doesn't come out of my tail. I have, very good experience in tightening muscles that are usually no-nos, in a sense. Because I despise being dirty, even though I've never been dirty in my life. I've never been stinker in my life. I was never born that way, so yeah, I'm a safe skunk, to be honest.
I see. And do you also have some techniques on how you can be clean, like showering and stuff, fragrances and everything?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's exactly what I use to be clean. Because I've been taking showers every 24/7 just to make Moby impressed. Yeah. Me and Moby would usually be in an apartment in a room that has a very good smelling scent, to be honest. Because me and Moby enjoy places like that. And we would usually spend some time together and make out. And the thing is, Moby can sometimes be skeptical of new skunks. Because he would usually have a suspicion that they might stink. And I don't know his whole history behind them. But all I do know is Moby actually loves me for who I am and what I'm like.
Well, now that you mention Moby's possible suspicion of new skunks, do you mind bringing him over?
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that.
Alright. Alright, Moby, you're next.
I'm coming.
Alright. Welcome, Moby Devante. That's your name, right?
Yep, that's me.
Alright. Now, I've been hearing from Stella that you have a suspicion of new skunks, if it's possible. Is that true?
I think that's true, to be honest. I'm not really hallucinating on that. Because the first time I came across one, they were actually very, very mean. And very, very vile. They were telling me like, hey, get off my property, you don't belong here. And I was like telling them, this is my backyard, why don't you get out of here? And then the very moment after that, they decided to spray me. And I was all, and I was running to my home. And the very moment I went inside the house, my family was all like, oh, what's that smell? What have you been doing, Moby Devante? And I told them I got sprayed. So then I quickly went to the bathroom, and then I tried everything I could to get this smell off of me, with tomato juice, soap, orange juice. I've most likely been doing that for 2 straight hours, and I felt like the stink was barely going away. And that's suddenly what gave me mephidophobia.
That figures. But do you still have that problem, mephidophobia?
I don't really... Well, I don't necessarily do. Because the first time I came across Stella, I was practically suspicious of her. I mean, overly suspicious because I thought she would also stink like the other one. And I was at the bar at the time. When Stella came to me the first time, I jumped out of the chair and I was like plugging my nose very tight and I was running off saying, ah, another skunk, ew, ew. And at such a distance, she said, hey, don't run away, I'm clean. And then I unplugged my nose and said, are you sure? And then I proceeded to smell her and hey, she smelled clean. And recently Stella told me that Mr. Pepworth didn't stink as well. And that suddenly made my mephidophobia disappear.
I see. So what have you been doing with Stella lately?
As usual, the romance, the loving, the caressing, and I always treat Stella like a pillow whenever we go to sleep at night. She's so beautiful.
Well, that's very nice to hear, Moby.
Yeah. Now any more questions?
Yes, I've got one. Is it true that whenever you mess around with Danny, he tells you to cut it out?
Yeah. And that's a very common thing that happens whenever I try to be a comedian of some sort. Well, all sorts actually. 'Cause like, when we were doing Pub Feed at the time, like back in January 2022, I was going all I crave is a good pub feed. And then he said, Moby, cut it out.
Was that the only time you did it?
No, he said it more than once. And I would like to go into further detail about it, but just like Stella said, we don't want to spoil too much of everything that's gonna premiere soon.
Now I see. And now that I heard everything from you, Moby, I would like to speak with Danny next.
Alright. Come on, Danny, come on! Hurry up, hurry up! Someone's waiting for you, hurry up!
Don't rush me, dude. I'm coming.
Alright, welcome, Danny Lyons. You must be the DLE mascot, right?
Yep, it's pretty clear. I am the DLE mascot.
Well, nice to meet you, DLE mascot.
Yeah.
But anyways, I heard that you contributed with Davion McDougal on Band Davion, correct?
Yes, and it's for a good reason. Because I have like a huge obsession with like 80s and 90s decades. Especially the music and stuff. And like the point of Band Davion is to like revive the glory days with the said decades. And you know, like make music in the style of those decades. Yeah. It's been my mission and Davion's mission for a long while. And it practically still is.
Alright. Now let me ask you this question, okay?
Alright?
Were you friends with Davion McDougal way before both of you formed Band Davion?
Not exactly, because I didn't really know who he was until I figured out that he had the same interests as I do.
And what exactly are those interests?
It's the same one I just mentioned earlier.
Sorry about that. I almost forgot.
The decades. The decades. The music from those decades. And, why am I using the same word?
Oh, no fears. No fears. I understand. I totally understand what you mean there.
I'm not scared. I'm just trying to look for an accurate word to represent what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand there. Also, this is a very important question.
Okay.
Is it true that whenever Moby messes around with you, like I heard from him before, you tell him to stop it, right?
No. No, not stop it, no. It's actually cut it out, even though they're both similar. Yeah, Moby would usually do some weird things when I'm trying to concentrate on stuff. Let's see. He would usually make some fun out of me when we're in an interesting situation, or scene, or adventure, or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter.
How often does Moby do that? Every day? Every 24/7? Every week? Every month?
Probably even 24/7 or something. I don't know. But it does feel rare. It just feels rare. It just feels like that.
So, on rare occasions, right?
Yeah. It just feels that way. I don't know why. Can't really tell.
I could see you're uncertain on when it happens, Danny.
Yeah.
And here's another question. What do you think of Carrie Gonzalez?
Carrie Gonzalez? She's a pretty interesting woman. I actually like her. Yeah, she's pretty cool.
But you do make a loving pair with her, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, Carrie always would blush whenever she would see me. With my bounciness. Yeah. She would squeeze me. She would treat my huge part like a stress ball. She would bounce up and down on me. And, yeah. That's all I can really describe here.
But you do admit you and Carrie are attracted to each other, right?
Yeah, especially when she became a lion-mouse hybrid. And because of that, I would most likely see her as a lioness, for the most part. Because lionesses are pretty attractive.
So that's a yes that you are in love with her, aren't you?
I'll say.
Oh. Alright, I take that as a yes then. Okay, now I must speak to Carrie Gonzalez.
Alright, Carrie, it's your turn.
Okay.
Alright, welcome, Carrie Gonzalez.
Thank you.
So, how is your relationship with Denny Lyons?
Oh, he's a very, very bouncy feline. You may have heard this earlier, but I bounce on him, poke him, squeeze him, caress him. I squeeze him so tight, he can't even burst like a balloon. He's a squishy stress ball.
I gotta say, that's very sweet to hear. So, what got you introduced to Band Davion?
Okay, let me put it to you this way. At the time of Band Davion's rise, I figured that I would have the same interests as Dan and also Davion in 80s and 90s decades music. And I know it sounds pretty weird, but I thought to myself, why not join Band Davion? Why don't we contribute to it? Are we gonna bring back the glory days or not? Let's go!
So, you decided to take part in Band Davion along with Dan, correct?
Yeah, because modern day visuals really suck. At least in my opinion. Hence why me and all of us take the commitment to bring them all back. The glory days. It's something you really need to expect than that. Well, Mondays. Duh.
Yeah, I'm more interested in seeing your commitment to bring Glory Days back with all of Band Davion.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, do you want to bring Pearl Ansley in, or do you have more to ask, or say something?
Well, I don't really know what to add here. So, yeah, I think I can get Pearl Ansley in.
By all means.
I'm coming in.
Okay, welcome, Pearl Ansley. How are you doing?
Oh, it's going good. I'm doing good.
Great. Now, I'm gonna ask you something, okay?
Alright.
Are you actually capable of doing some magic and some magic tricks?
Well, I would find a suitable answer for the part of magic tricks, but I can actually generate things with my magic wand.
Your magic wand, huh?
Yeah. Basically, what you can do with it is you can make things come true, or, hold on a second, make things come to life that you need when you're broke and you can't even afford anything, or if something's not free. And yeah, luckily I still have my magic wand with me in the Band Davion suitcase. Well, actually, I got the magic wand right here from the suitcase.
Oh, so you have been holding the magic wand before you came here, right?
Yeah. Just in case I want to show you what I can do with the magic wand.
Oh, well, can you show me how it works?
Absolutely. I just gotta activate this magic wand thingy first. There we go. Okay, now you gotta speak directly to the magic wand for an object, food, and other instance you want. Like for example, let's say you want a sketchbook. You hold out your hand like this, and you move the magic wand around and say, sketchbook, sketchbook, give me the sketchbook. And tap the wand in your hand, and oh my gosh, look at that! It's generating! See?
Wow, that is impressive, Pearl. Great work.
Yeah. But here's the thing though. You might want to be careful what you wish for. You might think this wand might be made out of AI, but still. This is proof that my magic wand can generate anything you want. For example, food, objects, drinks, refreshments, anything else.
What about Coca-Cola?
Yep, that works too. Wait a minute. You like Coca-Cola?
I absolutely do. It's my favorite drink of all time.
Well, that's good to hear. Hey, maybe I can generate that for you right now if you want.
I'm good. Not during an interview with the guys. I could just get my own at home.
Oh, okay then.
Well, now I think is a good time to wrap up this podcast. But before I do any of you have any questions?
Yes, were you just gonna interview Davion about the Band Davion, along with the concepts, art, everything?
Oh, not really. I decided to interview most of you guys, so you can all share your stories about your relationships and how you wanted to do things, your hobbies, and sometimes tricks, like Pearl does, and all the other stuff relating to what you do.
Oh, okay. Great.
Also, is there a chance that we get to share songs from our next album?
Well, when you finalize them all, we're gonna be listening to them in the studio.
Alright then, great.
Alright.
Well, thank you all for stopping by. It was really nice seeing you all.
Goodbye.
Nice
See
to
you
meet
soon.
you too.
Thanks for
Adios.
having
See
me
you
here.
soon. Go.
And this has been a podcast of the Band Davion interview. If you're a Band Davion supporter, stay tuned for Hexatastic and the Reuniters of Musical Glory. And it's going to premiere on a YouTube channel named Band Davion. Thank you for joining. And until next time, This is Monroe's podcast. See you soon.